a second attack by a dog on a young child in Hyderabad. This one, fortunately, was not fatal, but the death of a 5-year-old yesterday in Hyderabad has stunned people across the nation. This isn't the media driving rage against dogs. There is a problem. It's time people confronted this problem. The issue is there a humane way to deal with this crisis? How does one deal with dangerous dogs? Should they not be taken away? That's what we are looking at. We've got a great panel. Ambika Shukla, Trustee for People for Animal, with us. Meghna Onial, Director and Co-founder of the Humane Foundation for People and Animals. Shaili Singh, Federation of AOA in Noida. And Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairperson of Nephron Clinics. Dr. Singh, how would you respond to those who say that, or in fact, Shaili Singh, let me come to you first. How would you respond to those who say that we need to be humane about dealing with this crisis? Just destroying dogs is not the solution.
See, we see the records. 1960 Prevention of Cruelty to the Animal Act. It was in the 1960. Section 38 again, it defines that animal birth control, there are certain rules. But now if you see these, the data, today's data, around 36% of the entire worldwide, the rabies deaths, approximately 20,000 deaths are being caused in India. And now this is the time when we really need to work on the stray dog menace. And still, what I feel is the sterilization and the vaccination of dogs are really inadequate at this phase. So our government really need to work on this particular segment.
Ambika, sterilization not effective at this stage. 20,000 deaths in India. What does one do?
You have to look at it in perspective. When you say 20,000 deaths, you have to say that it is 0.0014. That's 0.0014%. That is how it needs to be looked at. So, the figures just need to be looked at rightly. Secondly, there is no need for discarding a perfectly good program that has not been implemented well. The program is very sound. The implementation has been less than perfect. So what we need to look at is better implementation of the ABC program, but it actually has all the answers. There are 3 main causes for bites. One is during the mating season when males become excited. Second is after birth when females deliver puppies and they become protective. And finally, it's due to territorial fighting when dogs enter each other's territory. What the ABC program does, the animal birth control program does, there is no mating, so males are not excitable. 2, females don't have puppies, so they don't need to become protective. And finally, since dogs are sterilized and replaced in exactly the same place, there is no territorial fighting. So actually, this is not just contains numbers, but also ensures rabies vaccinations and also ends biting. So it's a very good solution, and it's not just limited to India. This has been proven worldwide. There are so many states now in India where we've implemented it, which has been Goa is rabies-free, Guwahati is rabies-free, Jaipur, where the program was initiated, is rabies-free. So it's just better implementation, more systematic. The program was actually introduced in 2001.
Ambika, it's not just rabies,
but even
is it?
till today, it has not been implemented all around India.
Ambika, how would you respond to the parents of that little
child
who was killed yesterday? How would you respond to...
Yes, it's a truly tragic incident. Yes, it's a truly tragic incident. There's no getting away from that. But on the other hand, Vishnu, what I find very strange is how little effort and time we put into understanding the behavior of species other than our own. For example, everybody drinks milk, but nobody even knows what makes a cow happy. Do you stroke her? Do you hug her? What do you do? With dogs, there are very simple and safe solutions. The first rule that we need to teach everybody is when a dog approaches you, do not run. The dog is not coming with any hostile intent.
This is a 4-year-old Ambika who was attacked by 6 dogs. You expect a 4-year-old
to... Yes, you can teach them. Yes,
to
you
teach
can
a
teach
4-year-old
Yes.
who sees six
Vishnu,
dogs
let me
charging
complete.
at him.
Yeah, let me complete. We teach them not to be afraid of the dark. We teach them traffic rules. We teach them how to cope. How is it that we teach children how to use the computer or the phone or everything? These are animals that share our lives and our world. Simple rules of behavior do not run. In old India, there was a wonderful saying, Kutta aaye, aap ped ban jaye. Do not move. The dog will come.
That's easier
you,
said
which is
than
his
done.
way of just acquainting
Ambika, just
himself
one
with
second.
you,
Dr.
and he
Bagai,
will go on.
I'll come back
It
to you.
is not easier said. It's very easy
No,
to
one
teach
second.
children the right thing.
I'm not. Dr. Bagai,
And
would
it
you
can
agree?
And it can prevent a lot of
Sure.
accidents.
Dr. Bagai,
A lot
would
of
you agree
accidents are prevented by one
that
simple
there is
rule.
behavior that people need
Do not
to
run.
ensure that they practice, including 4- and 5-year-old children, so that it saves
Yes.
them from attacks? Is this
Good
realistically
evening,
possible?
good evening, everyone.
Yes.
I think right at the offset, I would like to say that my previous panelists' statements and views are very far away from the truth and reality. The real issue is that the elderlies and the children very often cannot manage the menace of stray dogs. This is not rare. In a lot of programs yesterday, just allow me 2 minutes flat and I'll put everything in perspective for you. A lot of people have said that no, it's a rare event. It's not a rare event because most of the dog bites actually go unreported. To lose 20,000 people, which is actually documented data, is still a lot of deaths, which are preventable deaths. I stress preventable deaths. This is an abandoned issue. Of course, the local corporates need to come in with more shelter homes and to keep dogs away. The residents do not have to feed stray dogs. Because they are then going to come and bite the people where they are being fed. And the open dhalao system, which is the waste
exactly
management
the opposite,
system,
actually.
is all astray.
Feeding makes dogs
the real issue is
friendly.
Ambika, let him
and
finish.
trustworthy.
Ambika, let him finish,
So
and then I'll come to
feeding is
you.
actually not a part of the problem. Yeah.
Let him finish. Go ahead,
I'd like
Dr.
to
Bagai.
counter, yeah.
Ma'am, can I please finish?
Okay.
Thank you. What the point I'm trying to make is, at a small child of a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old, as a toddler, especially from a poor class, which are laborers or workers, often have the children right at the construction sites or in other places. It's almost impossible to expect a small child to be trained that when a dog is coming, stand still. The natural instinct of a child is to run. Likewise, for a human being or even an elderly. Let me stress on 3 important points. Stray dogs, which are ferocious and they very often bite, and human beings cannot live in the same milieu. They cannot have the same environment. Therefore, we need to choose safety first. We have a huge amount of laceration wounds which go unreported, internal organ damage and bleeding which goes unreported. And more importantly, more than 30% of the world's rabies deaths happen in India. Rabies is not a funny disease to get. There is a near 100% mortality if it is not treated, and yet if it is treated, you come back with a lot of morbidity and long-term sequelae, including the brain. I want to put this very clear. Stray dogs and human beings cannot be in the same environment. We have to have an implementable program. We have to have people being told not to feed stray dogs. There are a lot of mystical people in a fantasy land to put out food for stray dogs outside the house, and then they have no responsibility for those dogs. This is ridiculous. This is unacceptable to lose a small child or any other human being with something which can be prevented. Over to you, Som.
Meghna, would you like to respond to that?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say that one death from a dog attack or rabies is one death too many. You can't say there are 1 billion people in this country, so if 20,000 people die, it's a very small number or ratio. That's one. Secondly, I'd like to make the legal point over here. All of our laws and acts under the Indian Constitution that protect animals as well as people require and mandate the humane removal and euthanasia of stray dogs. Even the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act mandates the euthanasia of stray dogs because it recognizes that there is cruelty in homelessness. Either you shelter them, you get them adopted, or you euthanize them. The problem here is all of our laws and acts are on one side, saying that there can be no stray animals. The concept of stray animals is a negative concept. That's why no one has stray animals and cows on the streets, and our laws don't permit it. The problem in this situation is the animal birth control rules, which say that instead of removing stray dogs, we are going to sterilize them and leave them on the road, and then we'll feed them. And then, this fantasy has been created that we'll feed them and we'll all live happily ever after. The problem is, the fact of the matter is that dogs are domesticated companion animals. They cannot live unless they are under 100% human control and supervision. That's why even pet dogs, who are presumably well taken care of, well fed, are not, they don't have cruelty inflicted on them. Why do pet owners have to take their dogs out on a leash? Why doesn't the whole world have free roaming dogs? The idea of free roaming dogs is a lose-lose situation for people as well as animals.
And our laws. So, in terms of humanely dealing with this situation, are you saying, bottom line, that beyond a point, dogs which are dangerous need to be euthanized? Then that there is no way around this?
There's no question about it, and not just dogs that are dangerous. I mean, there's no question about that. In the US today, 2 to 3 million dogs and cats, unwanted, ownerless, that can't be adopted, are euthanized. These are healthy animals, not necessarily dangerous, but it's what you do.
Okay, Meghna, half a second.
Or you get them adopted.
Let me get a reply from Ambika. Ambika, the point is clear. You cannot have children, human beings, along with dangerous dogs, and therefore they need to be euthanized.
I think we're completely missing the point. Dogs have earned the title of man's best friend over centuries. We use dogs to lead the blind. How would we not rely on dogs? I mean, to lead a blind person takes absolutely.
We're talking about dangerous dogs. We're not talking about.
They fight with our forces on the front.
No, Ambika, we are only talking about dangerous dogs. I'm sure all of us on this program would like dogs.
There is no such thing.
We're talking about dangerous dogs.
Let me just tell you, there is no such thing as a dangerous dog. There is an ill-treated dog who will react because of the cruelty he is faced, but there is no such thing as a dangerous dog. You treat dogs well, they treat you back with love, kindness, and loyalty. Nothing else. So it is our behavior that prompts a reaction. Dogs don't act, they react. If you show a dog cruelty,
so you're blaming
he will react in self-defense. You show a dog compassion.
And getting killed.
I am not blaming anybody, ma'am. Please let me complete.
Ambika, go ahead. Ambika, go ahead.
All right. So when you treat dogs well, you will find them to be the most loyal and reliable companions. Why is it, when you talk about feeding, why is it that dogs don't bite feeders? They're also human beings. They're also children who feed. How come they don't bite those children? So I'm saying it's a way of teaching. We have to elect compassion over hatred and intolerance. For 50 years, we were killing dogs in this kind of solution. If you think killing is an answer, for 50 years we were doing it until it was shown that it did not reduce the population by even 1 bit. So killing is never a solution. Dogs were being poisoned, electrocuted, buried alive by the municipality, by the law, until it was shown and proven, and then the courts came down really strongly against this kind of cruelty and completely wanton, unnecessary cruelty that didn't lead to any benefit to anybody.
All right, Ambika, you made your point. Dr. Bagai, would you like to respond?
Ahimsa. And Mahatma Gandhi said, the way a nation treats its animals can be, is the measure of its civilization and moral progress.
All right.
And I think we need to remember
one sec, Ambika, you made your point.
You made your point effectively. Remove dogs.
Dr. Bagai, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, I think we need to dissociate fantasy emotion from reality. The reality is that a dog bite is extremely painful, distressing, and often mutilating. And secondly, a consequence of dog bite, be it a bacterial infection or indeed rabies, is so distressing. And we see this in hospitals. It's one of the worst nightmares, not only medically, but for the patient and the family. I've said this again and I'll say it again.
It is 100% preventable. Rabies is 100% preventable.
And so human beings cannot be in the same environment. feeding stray dogs and not taking responsibility thereafter is completely madness. I would very strongly advocate that the corporations, local corporations, have sufficient amount of places built up to house these stray dogs. There has to be a public awareness that no one should be feeding stray dogs, and open dalhouse, which we call as waste dumps, have to be got rid of, especially in residential colonies. You cannot have basements of residential colonies or societies having stray dogs being fed. We are calling for problems, and to lose a child who is just a gift of God to be mauled down by a bunch of stray dogs is completely unacceptable, extremely sad.
Look, I'm going to wrap this debate up now. We are completely out of time on this, but we haven't found a solution in several decades. Some solution needs to be found. It needs to be humane, but ultimately lives need to be protected. Perhaps that's something we can all agree on, right? Human lives.
All lives.
All lives.
All
But perhaps
lives.
we need to
All lives.
place our own lives
Yes.
as
lives.
humans first. I think that's the bottom
All
line.
lives. There's no. It's not a competition. It's not a competition.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think many would disagree, but I respect that opinion. We'll take a break at this stage. Thanks very much for being with us. Good night.